What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another Open It Uppercuts podcast with your boy Dan Talks Fighting and the voice Jody Edwards. Hope everyone
You
is
have no
well.
choice.
That is the one. We are back with another episode after a really, really good first episode, Jody. The reception has been insane.
The reception has been more than we could ever imagine. So, simply being humble, thank you so much for all the support, all the questions, all the views. Like, me and Dan put out that first video about 3 or 4 days ago, already has hit 12,000 views, nearly 13,000. And we cannot thank you lot enough. Like, that's beyond even our thoughts of what we wanted for that first video. Like, we were happy with like 1K. 12K is just like a massive cherry. But yeah, thank you again to support. Make sure like, comment, subscribe as always. I'm not not ending the video now. Obviously, we've got a lot to talk about. Oh, we got a lot to get through, Dan.
Yes, we
So,
have.
where shall we start?
Should we do a recap of the previous fight that just went down? The Ben Whittaker, Liam Cameron 2. Obviously, we made a few predictions in there, Jody, and I'm just going to put it out there that Dan is now 1-0 up in the predictions.
Okay. We're doing this shit to start with. Right. Okay. So, me and Dan had a chat after the first episode went off. We said we're going to do prediction points for every event that we cover, but not every single fight on the card, just the main event, because that's the one everyone is booking in to see anyway. Yeah. And in regard to that, yeah, I got it kind of wrong for him. And hey, I still got a dub. I made you care about Liam Cameron. You found the clip because you were like, "Oh, what Ben Whittaker doing? I think he's the whole future and everything." Yeah. You at least got on Cameron's side, and no, it wasn't the best performance. But Cameron has still done what he said he was going to go out to do. He's gone out on a big stage. He's made money for his family. He's made money for his life. Boxing, you may not get the result every single time, but you at least get something to take away from. That's the important thing.
Yeah, you're so right with that one. And going into the fight, I didn't really know Liam Cameron's story that much. I'll be so honest. I kind of had followed Ben's path and his social media rise, and I think everyone had, right? Um,
Mm.
and I knew Cameron in the first fight was going to be a test, but I didn't really know his backstory. And when I was diving into it in the days leading up to it, and you learn about his whole addiction story and the passing in his family, it's like you you're rooting for him. You're really, really rooting for him, and it's a shame he couldn't put up a better performance than what happened on the night. But it's nothing against him. It's
Mm.
he's
Mm.
done what he said he wanted to do and go out there, like you said, on a big stage. But on the flip side, you've got to give credit to Ben Whittaker. It was one hell of a performance. Do you think it was an early stoppage?
If you lot don't follow my Instagram, so Jody Edwards 2001 on Insta, please go and follow it, and also go and follow Dan K89, aka Dan Talks Fine. I said very clearly, yes, I do think it's an early stoppage. It was at a vertical standpoint. I get why the ref stopped it because he didn't want to see any more further damage. But I agree with most of my legends saying there should have at least been a count. There should have been a standing count and then let the fight go on for a little bit longer. Again, I understand why, because they did not want Liam to suffer another shot like that because it probably would have made him collapse and probably suffer damage to the cranium. But boxing is a sport where you want to go out on your shield most of the times. The corner didn't decide to throw the towel in, so they weren't going to take him out. Uh, no one from ringside was saying the fight to wave it off. No Ben Shalom. No one. So I basically think that it should have carried on further. But Dan, it's your choice as well, bro. What did you think?
Well, I don't know officially, but I saw something out there that they couldn't do a standing eight count according to the rules or something like that. In this organization, there was no option for a standing eight count. So it's either you get dropped and there's a count or it's a stoppage, which I thought was a bit bizarre, and I haven't really heard of that before. But I thought, I mean, Liam Cameron after he wasn't really complaining or upset with the stoppage, which kind of gives an indication on how maybe he was feeling in the fight. And he did say in one of the interviews after that he'd never been hit like that, and it was probably the hardest he'd ever been hit.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I do think I think the fight deserved to go longer, but I can understand, like you, why it was stopped where it was.
It's what Ben needed. He needed to
Yeah,
go out there and make a statement. He needed to do that. If he hadn't have done that, like say for example, if he went all 10 rounds, didn't show much of creativity or versatility, then he would have literally been downgraded to possibly fighting for like European level or maybe even British.
I think it also just goes to show how much, even in the short amount of time that he spent with Andy Lee, how much that has actually improved him and the power that he's. I mean, Andy Lee known for helping fighters get their kind of power up, and you saw that in the fight with a stoppage, early stoppage that Ben got. You can see how much progress in a short amount of time Andy Lee has had on him.
Every single year, I look at the trainers and the coaches around the boxing world and I say, who is number one right now? Last year, I would have said Ben Davison for all the work he did with Moses Atauma, and we built up Fabio Wardley to be a threat. Hell, I probably said it as well for some reason when AJ knocked out Ngannou.
Yeah,
But that's me being an AJ fanboy, and also the stuff he's done with Lee Woods, how he's progressed other fighters as well. But yeah, for me, it probably is Andy Lee now because he has propelled Joseph Parker to one of the biggest opportunities of his life. Sad to say he didn't get it. He had to fight Martin Bakole as well, but he stopped Bakole. He stopped Bakole in 2 rounds, all because of Andy Lee's wisdom and training. And it begs the question to me, and it probably does to you as well. Why did the likes of like Tyson Fury not have Andy Lee as his main trainer when he fought Usyk? Because Tyson, for the first Usyk fight, had his dad, Sugar Hill, Andy Lee, 3 different types of trainers with all 3 different styles, and they all were yapping in his ear. How are you meant to win a fight if you have 3 trainers saying 3 different fucking things, fam? How?
yeah, it's so difficult. You need one clear message and one clear strategy when you're going into something, especially a fight of that magnitude. You can't have different voices coming at you from all angles because it's just gonna mess up your whole brain and your whole thinking going into it. And that's probably what it did. I'll be so real. It's probably exactly what it did.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, I'm trying not to get off topic. Andy Lee is the right person for Ben Whittaker now. I see it. For some reason, Sugar Hill just wasn't working. I don't know why. Maybe Sugar Hill's just built for more heavy-handed fighters more than elusive footwork type exchanges. But yeah, good for Ben Whittaker. Good performance. Happy that he's starting to get some redemption to clear his name. But again, there's always a controversial moment because I didn't like his celebration.
Yeah,
I didn't like his celebration one bit.
it was a bit weird, wasn't it? I mean, I do understand fighters after such a heated moment like that. Your emotions are all over the place, aren't they? Like you're not really thinking completely straight. And it kind of makes you think that the majority of the time, fighters who are composed and who aren't doing reactions like him, you've got to give them more credit, even though it's the kind of the done thing to do. I think the fact that fighters' emotions are so high all the time to be able to control that is the main thing. And you saw Andy Lee jump in the ring trying to de-escalate the situation and calm Ben down. Because for at first, it kind of looked like he'd spat on him.
Yeah, they were saying that in the commentary booth, but they saw a little bit of like phlegm or whatever just leave Ben's mouth, but his mouth wasn't doing a spitting motion. It was literally just him screaming in front of Cameron's corner, which, by the way, had Dalton Smith there, and I don't know why Whittaker would want to go there. But yeah, coach nearly slapped him, and honestly, fair play to the coach. I would have fucking done that, honestly.
Oh, 100%.
I,
Yeah.
I, fam, I literally went like encore. Nah,
Fully.
not trying to diss out Whittaker. I don't want smoke. I'm perfectly fine with just talking about fights. But yeah, it is. It's always unfortunate because I just want Ben to be seen in the limelight for how he portrays himself as a boxer,
Mm.
not as his character, which is the biggest problem that he has at the moment. Like, if you are feeling passionate after you win and you want to let out frustration, all you can do is just go to a neutral corner or go to a corner, start shouting and celebrating with your fans. You don't need to get into the other team's face to make a point. You've made your point by stopping him in 2 rounds.
The main thing for me to take away is that Down Talks Fighting is 1-0 up in the prediction points.
Oh,
Uh,
fuck off.
and we're going to keep this going each time we do a prediction, and
I
we'll
really,
see
I
who
really
comes
want
out.
to, I really want to hear your prediction for Ben versus Eubank this weekend. I really want to hear it because I feel like you're going to come up with some very controversial crap. Shall we jump into Eubank versus Conor Benn?
Let's do it. This is honestly, the whole build up has been insane. It's probably been one of my favorite fight build ups so far. And I genuinely keep flipping between who I think is going to win. And my funny little story actually. My uni lecturer is a guy called Jordan Jarrett Bryan, and he is the Channel 4 sports reporter. And he actually got to sit down with both fighters, Eubank and Ben. And he went to their places, sat down, interviewed them, and he's not a boxing fanatic, but what he told me was that the kind of aura was oozing and dripping off of Conor Benn. Absolutely, he felt every inch of passion and effort that he had put into his training, and he said the energy felt different. I don't know how much that is going
Yeah,
to play out into the actual fight itself, but I thought it was a very interesting little nugget of information there that someone who sat down with both fighters kind of senses a certain vibe and senses a certain energy from one of them.
with certain sports, you get rivalries or derbies or clashes or feuds that just feed generations. Like for football, you can say Man United and Man City, the Manchester derby, or if you're in London, you can say like Arsenal, Tottenham, or something like that. For tennis, you can say like against like Nadal versus Federer is like a rivalry that you would see there. This for me is the biggest and most important feud or rivalry that has ever been in British boxing. This is what laid the foundations to all world stars and world champions that have come down for the last 20 years. There wouldn't be no George Groves, there wouldn't be no Carl Froch, there would not be no James DeGale, no Anthony Joshua, no Tyson Fury, no Del Boy, no Dillian White. I'm going a lot on heavyweights right now. No Lee Woods, no Joe Cordina, no Anthony Kakachi. None of them. None of them would not take the gloves up, put them on, strap them up, tape them up, start banging on the pads if they hadn't seen Chris Eubank and Nigel Benn. We are getting this rivalry reborn. Chris Eubank Jr. Conor Benn. It is the rivalry that will feed a generation. And yes, there is controversy. What fight doesn't have a bit of controversy in it? Okay. Should Conor Benn be happy with how he conducted himself after the allegations? From my opinion, no. But he's still a big enough name, a big enough family household name, and a big enough British boxing name to now go against his arch rival to sell out one of the biggest stadiums in the country, probably even in Europe.
Yeah.
This, for me, has blockbuster written all over it. This I've never been this excited for a build up in a while. Like the last time I got this much chaos from one build up fight was the likes of maybe David Haye versus Derek Chisora, or even better when Derek Chisora fought Dillian White for the first time and he chucked the table at the press conference.
Bearing in mind there is no belt on the line, this is just two guys who the families have had this massive rivalry for years and they hate each other. That Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. hate each other, they despise each other, and there's no belt on the line, and they can still sell out and create this much hype for this fight. It is absolutely insane. And like we've both just said, the build up to this one has just got me hooked. I'm hooked. I'm ready to be sat in front of my TV on Saturday night, ready for an absolute tear up of a fight.
Mm.
With, by the way, a stacked undercard. Fair play. Fair play.
There's some big ass names on this undercard. Like we've got Chris Billam-Smith, the former cruiserweight champion, on here. We've got Liam Smith, a former opponent of Chris Eubank Jr. By the way, went to war twice. Smith beat him in the first fight with a beautiful, shocking result of a
Yeah.
round five TKO, but it was awesome. And then Eubank pretty much dog walked his ass for the second one, which is annoying. But yeah, we've got.
Yeah.
Oh, really good. I think this could be the fight of the night with Viddal Riley and Chev Clarke. And you know, you've spoken to Viddal a couple of times, haven't you, Dan? So just for viewers, viewers confidential, yes, Dan has spoken to the realist Viddal Riley a couple of times. So what kind of vibe does Viddal give off, and what do you think his motivation and intent will be to show come Saturday night?
Well, Viddal Riley has always come across to me as someone who talks straight and doesn't do no nonsense.
Hmm.
And right from the outset of his boxing career, he's always wanted to take the professional route, do it all properly, even though he could have taken the kind of misfits influencer route if he really wanted to and got a big payday early on in his career. He didn't want to do that. He wanted to take it serious, wanted to go the traditional route, and he's obviously had a stacked amateur career. The current heavyweight champ, Daniel Dubois, famously called him the best 9-year-old boxer that there's ever been, and Vidal beat him in the amateurs. The way his career is now developing, it's so fascinating to me. He's increasing his competition as time goes on and stepping up, and he's got the English title, and he was going to fight then Isaac Chamberlain, who's former British champ.
Hmm.
And very interesting. That fight then didn't happen for the reason of Isaac pulling out. But now Vidal's got an opportunity to go surpass someone who was a former champ
Yeah.
and win the British title. And he's got a really serious opponent in front of him, Chev Clarke, who they've sparred a few times and they know each other's capabilities. And Chev Clarke's not a pushover just because he lost his last fight. Some people you can kind of argue that he might have nicked it, even though he got dropped. It was a very close fight in the end. He kind of got himself back into it. But in my opinion, Viddal Riley, this is his time to really make a statement. This is his time on a big stage in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, his team right around the corner from where he's grown up. This
Mm.
opportunity for Viddal Riley is huge, and I am so excited to see him put on a performance that I don't think we have seen from Viddal just yet.
Yeah, yeah. I could not agree more. Like Vidal has really shown what the amateur circuit can really gain for you at the start of your career and how much experience it does to elevate you up. Like I don't mean to bring him up again, but for me, Vidal is kind of walking the correct path that the like of like Tommy Fury should have done for the start of his career. Because Tommy's for his family's sake, and honestly, I understand why, is because he's like chasing more money, more big name fights. Although the next one he's got, I've got no frigging clue why he's doing it. Vidal is going through going through each rope, each tactic, each challenge the correct way. Like he's fought people, building him up. Some people call them journeymen to start off with. That's fine. First couple of fights, if you fight journeymen, you elevate yourself up. Fine. Fourth fight, fought someone 7-1. Good test. Had about 4 or 5 knockouts on his resume. Just knocked him out. Then came the real big test because he had a rematch with this certain individual, which was Anis Taj. Taj, not necessarily the most dominant boxer, but he's just there for a good scrap. He's good there for a good time. And he did catch Vidal in the first couple of rounds in the first fight. And he took it all the way to well, a little bit later on for the referee to come in and stop the bout due to a massive cut on the left eye of Taj. But then there was no hidden doubt or anything, no unwritten chapter, no controversial fought in the rematch, which Vidal ended with very brutal uppercut that had Taj just hanging on the ropes like this. Yeah, it was a very dominant display. Then he fought Mikhail Lawal, and Mikhail Lawal, like you said, fought Isaac Chamberlain in a very good fight. Very, very, very good fight. And it was really, really competitive. Really competitive. Vidal is a brutal power puncher. He uses his power with every exploit to hurt you. His hooks are menacing. He knows how to get round the guard. Like he knows how to find every single area to do damage. But that is exactly like Chev Clarke. They're both very similar fighters. The only difference is, for me, and this is my personal opinion, I believe Vidal starts better at fights than Clarke. Clarke warms up 2 or 3 rounds, which sometimes isn't a good thing because he lets his opponent into the bout and lets them have a strategy, have time to breathe, have time to at least counter some of his shots coming their way. Vidal's like all gas, no brakes. Still calculated and composed, but he will put it on you. And whether he stops you or not, you know you're going to have a hard workload coming your way. So it is a difficult one to choose, but I will back Vidal to win it. And I don't know whether he will stop Clarke, but I do believe he will drop him. But I've also had a chat with Jay. I believe Vidal might come under fire from this as well, up to the point where possibly both might hit the canvas. They won't get knocked out, but I believe both will. That is my
Interesting.
opinion.
So the way I'm seeing this one in my head and the way I see this fight playing out is I do believe Chev Clarke is in comparison to Vidal, a bit of a slower starter.
Mm.
And throughout his career, he has shown a bit of vulnerability. And even in the Apache fight, his chin, I'm not too sure whether his punch resistance now is going to be up to scratch compared to Viddal. Viddal, he's been hit not crazy hard, but he's been tested and his chin's held up quite comfortably. And even in the Mikel Lawal fight, he I think he broke his rib early on.
Mm,
So he had to then adapt mid-fight and change the game plan and go out and just get the points win. But he stopped a heavyweight last time. And granted, it was only that heavyweight only had, I think, a day's or two's notice. But Vidal kind of showed me in that scrap that he's got some power behind his punches now.
mm.
And again, granted, the opponent only came on a day's notice, probably not there to try and actually go for a full out war. But Vidal has crafted his skills in a way where he's shown he can box well. And that Nathan Corliss fight when he won his English title was a perfect example of that. He boxed so beautifully that day and won every single round. Then to come out and show that you can stop a heavyweight, I think his trajectory is just going up, and Chev Clarke has shown some vulnerabilities. He's on the older side now. He needs to prove himself again after coming off a loss. And I think this is just a perfect time for Vidal. I'm actually going to put my neck out on the line here. And basically, I think Vidal's going to stop him. And I think he's going to probably stop him 7 or 8 rounds because
Really?
I really do. Maybe I'm buying into the hype a bit too much, but I think I just think his career is just going up. You're only going to see improvements from Vidal, and I know it's a big step up in competition from what he's been at, but I think he's ready. I think his whole amateur career built him up to a perfect spot that will remember him from the amateurs and be afraid of him. Like he beat Chris Billam-Smith in the amateurs. And I know you can't take everything that happens in the amateurs and it doesn't play out perfectly in the pro game, but people are going to be afraid of Vidal. And
True.
he's just got so much aura behind him. He just has.
There, but Aura doesn't win fights, bro. Just saying. And also the fact as well, the bit that you said about the amateurs, you know the mirror effect, yeah, where one side they win, the other side they lose. A perfect example of that is Anthony Joshua and Dillian White.
Yeah.
White knocked out Joshua in the amateurs, and then Joshua brutalized him in the pros. So even if you get one up on your opponents in the amateurs, it doesn't mean much when it's the pro game. But yeah, I believe Vidal will win. I believe both will hit some roadblocks. Both of them might even hit the canvas. But I'm going to stick with my line. Vidal to be British champion this weekend.
I hope he does. I really hope he
Yeah,
does because I think the amount of work he puts in, and not that Chev probably does too, but I think Vidal's career is only improving as time goes on, and he's only 27. He's only
yeah.
27 years old, so his future is so bright, and this is kind of a chance to make a big statement here.
He's 4 years older than me. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? It's so weird.
I did my prediction for Vidal first, so you know what I'm going to ask next. Main event: Chris Eubank Jr., Conor Benn. Go on, Dan. I'm not doing this first. You really think I'm going to do this first? Get out of here, man. Are you
Uh,
mad?
okay, yeah, we've touched on the build up, we've touched on uh, the kind of lead up to this fight, and I have been back and forth with what I'm initially going to say. I just, I'm going to say, oh no, I can't. I'm going to back my boy Chris Eubank because I was, my head is telling me that Ben is going to stop him early. That's what my head is telling me. But I'm gonna trust my heart because Chris Eubank, being from Brighton, I've seen him round. I've met his trainer Ronnie Davis. He's a regular in my pub,
Mm,
and all the regulars kind of grew up with Ronnie and have known him very well. I can't go against Chris Eubank Jr. no matter what I actually think might happen.
yeah.
But um, in terms of actual boxing, you'd have to favour Chris Eubank anyway, I think,
Mm,
just based off of the weight. He's fought at this weight multiple times. He's fought at a higher level multiple times. And he ultimately has just achieved more in boxing than Conor Benn. That doesn't mean that Conor can't get to that level. And he is the younger fighter with that chip on his shoulder, like he keeps saying in all the interviews. He has got something to prove now after the whole drugs allegations and going through all of that, that he has now got to prove where he kind of lies. And in my opinion, Chris Eubank should be the favorite to win it. Like logic says that. I just I have this little worry that Conor Benn just doesn't give a fuck. And if he's from the get-go
yeah.
putting the pressure on Chris and he is relentless and just non-stop throwing 80 plus punches around, just going bananas, I don't know if Chris will be able to deal with the onslaught. That's the only thing I'm thinking of at the minute. But
Honestly think that's an excellent statement
nah.
of that. Um, I've always seen Conor Benn in a light of like a pocket-sized Mike Tyson. When I see him fight, he moves around. He is very elusive, but when he tries to hit you, he has every intent of damaging an organ or a bone or a muscle. Like his hooks, he digs into them and just going back and forth and back and forth. Like the knockout with Algieri, literally was just like teetering over because of how much power. He was still standing up and then just went all the way down. Ben Heerden afterwards. Yeah. The controversy is there for obviously the drug allegations, which we have touched on. Ben has so much power. Eubank has so much wisdom. Like Eubank's been around the block more. He's fought better opponents. That there's no conversation that he hasn't. He's fought Billy Jones Saunders. He's fought Liam Williams. He's fought Liam Smith. But I do think sometimes Eubank can come off as wasteful, as in he has opportunities to put people away or do a good number on them, and he doesn't take that chance. Fair enough, he's an entertainer. He likes entertaining the crowd. He likes showing what he can do. But the crowd is mostly there to see you actually spark someone out. You get what I mean? So the Williams fight is a perfect example of that because he knocked Williams down 4 times in that fight in 4 different rounds, and Williams was hurt from every single knockdown. Flashback to when Hamza Shiraz fought Williams. He knocked him down 3 times in round one. Done. And Eubank took Williams to a decision when he shouldn't really have done. Same with Liam Smith. He fought like he was bossing the first fight, and he got caught with an uppercut, and he was out cold. I just think if Eubank is going to win this fight, he has to start fast. I know he's got age on the clock. I know he's not as young as he used to be or as explosive as he used to be, even though he probably will say otherwise on the press conference tomorrow. Uh, uh, he has to start fast. No fear of gassing out. If you hate this man as much as you say you do, if you're annoyed for him, for his father mentioning your father in any light, or if you are pissed off that he has allegedly taken drugs and you know full heartedly that that's the wrong thing to do, and your family has had history where you just don't want to go near that stuff and you know what it can do to a human being, surely you've got to take this guy out. I know both are going to look for a knockout, but for me, Eubank needs the knockout more than Conor. Conor can just damage him and just make it look like a masterclass. He just wants to show a good level. I know he's saying he wants to smash his face in, but if Conor does a perfect performance, then what can Eubank say? If he has a I can't even speak. This is how much is processing in my brain. If he has like a masterclass of damaging body shots and then just keeping our way of view of Eubank's longer reach, then for me, Ben wins the fight more embarrassingly. They say if he knocks Eubank out. So I don't know. So you said Eubank.
It comes from a sentiment point of view,
Yeah.
me backing Chris Eubank, purely sentimental value. Um, if I were to put my money down, I'd probably still put Eubank, but that's just me being trying to be logical. But then I do think this fight just defies logic. I think this fight defies logic in so many ways. And like you said, I don't think Ben has to knock Eubank out. I think he can just put the pressure on him for 12 rounds. Will it go the distance? I don't know.
Okay. Right. So stop dodging the question. You gotta tell me now. How's he get it done? You gotta say how he gets it done. You can't just say Eubank. That's not a prediction.
Okay, I logically think Ben is going to start really fast and is going to put a lot of pressure on Eubank.
Yeah.
I think the weight is going to play a huge part.
Mm,
And as the fight goes on, Connor's punches won't be holding the same power, I don't think. I could be wrong. I'm going to say I don't think his punches will hold the same power later on than Chris's will. Even though Chris is not known to be at this knockout artist,
mm.
I think later on is going to favor Chris. And I am just going to edge him on points. I think it will go the decision, and I think Chris Eubank will come out on top. He's been in these world class fights before against the tough opposition. He
Yeah.
knows
Mm.
he knows what it takes to win, even if he didn't come out on top on in all of them.
Mm.
So I'm gonna favour Chris Eubank by decision.
As in split or unanimous?
I'm gonna say unanimous. Yeah, I'm gonna say unanimous.
Okay. Okay.
What are you saying?
This is so hard. Oh,
This is what's great about this fight.
I feel like Eubank will come, like you said, come more into his flow in the later rounds, but I feel like Ben will stockpile like the first six or seven in his favor quite convincingly. And then I'll say Eubank comes strong in the last four or five. So it will be close, but I will say Conor Benn. I want Eubank to do well because also, can I just directly say this to Chris Eubank? You are a legend for paying everyone from the previous card. You are
Facts.
absolutely a legend for that. Honestly, you deserve a lot more respect. So big up to you, honestly. And if Eubank ever sees this message, seriously, well done, man. Honestly, well done. Uh, but saying that, yeah, I'll say Ben.
Okay, there we have it. There's our second prediction point. You're
Yeah,
going Conor Benn, and I'm taking Chris Eubank Jr.
we're going different.
Ho
Why are we going different sides again? Right, guys, let us know what you lot think. Obviously, as we carry this on, comment down below who you want to see win the fight, but who do you also think will win the fight? And also, if you have time, also put a prediction down for Viddal versus Chev Clarke because for our scene, it's just as big or just as fun and entertaining as Eubank and Ben.
Do we have any other questions that people have sent in for us?
Yes, we do.
Let's give them some love and see what questions people have sent in for us.
Ooh. Okay, so the first one, shout out to my boy Alex. Alex has basically asked, are we ever going to do boxing live streams or watch-alongs for certain bouts that we either are not watching with friends or family, or we cannot attend ourselves? Honestly, Alex, to tell you the truth, we have not even thought of that.
To be honest, that's probably a really good idea. We can jot that one down.
Yeah, we definitely can.
Even like the smaller Misfits cards as well, we can definitely do if we're not
Mm.
attending them or anything.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we could definitely do that on like a live stream as well. 100%. I'm not asking Jay's one.
What has Jay said?
Who's your favorite Dutchman?
Amazing. Michael van Gerwen, the darts player.
Iron Robin.
Dubs.
I feel like this one. Shout out to Jam from the Red Corner Boxing. I think this one is more directed to me. He said, "What is like your dream MC location to announce?" So though, for those of you who haven't watched the first episode, what are you doing? Go and watch it now because we basically introduce ourselves as Dan, the commentator, Jody, the ring announcer. So yeah, he's basically asking where would my dream location be. It would either be Madison Square Garden or Wembley because of how much history both arenas have. Because they're just enriched with so many iconic moments. Not even in this sport, just in loads of different sports. Like Madison Square Garden, you would get like hockey, you get basketball, you get boxing, obviously. Wembley, you get rugby, football, boxing as well. There's just so many iconic moments of many different sports there. So yeah, it does mean a lot to uh, basically try them. Basically to try and get to that point. But yeah, that's what I would love to achieve.
Hopefully one day we can get to these big kind of platforms and places and showcase our talents. I think that
Mm.
would be insane. It's what we're
100.
working towards, and one of the reasons we're putting this channel together and putting the work in.
Shall we move on to the most hateful topic in my absolute personal boxing life? So Jake Paul has recently announced he's fighting Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., the son of the legend, uh, on the zone for MVP promotions. I can't lie, I'm actually looking forward to this one for some reason.
Okay, yeah.
But
Tell me why. Tell me why.
Chavez is still a big name. Like he's fought many different people around the world. He fought Canelo when he was really in his prime back then. He fought Anderson Silva, and we all know how that went. He's a very like on and off light switch type fighter. Like he could turn up and put on a really good performance and maybe even get a stoppage, or he'll just not be bothered at certain points and will just get stopped himself. But Dan, I want to hear once I just adjust the line because I think that's terrible. I just want you to tell me what your personal opinions are of this fight because I feel like it's just a really weird scenario. I'll be honest, but yeah, I
Yeah,
want to hear your one.
absolutely. I mean, to be honest, every opponent Jake keeps introducing next and who he keeps fighting. I think in his brain, he's thinking he's leveling up each time, even if the opponent is getting older and older, or they've just come out of rehab, like Julio has just come out of rehab. It, I think he tricks himself, or someone on his team tricks himself to thinking that he's getting really hard challenges, and then come the fight, it's made a lot easier for him because let's not kid ourselves. He's not an amazing boxer. He's not a world-class boxer, but he's at a decent level now, and he can be competitive in certain fights. I think to have him on his record is another good thing for Jake, um, in the grand scheme of things. I don't think it's going to be hugely competitive again because, and I know a lot of people are making the old comparisons that, oh, Anderson Silva beat him, so Jake beat Anderson, that means Jake will win. It's not that simple all the time, and I don't think it will be that simple. But I just question a lot of the time the the choices of fighters that he goes up against because on the one hand he's telling everyone he wants to be a world champ, and if you want to be a world champ you have to follow certain things. You have to really test yourself against up and coming fighters who
Mm,
also are looking for that same goal and are hungry and willing to do anything to get that same position.
mm,
Compared to people who like Mike Tyson, who was a world champion 200 years ago, you're not gonna get the same level of competition that's gonna prepare you for that world championship fight that you so want.
how dare
And
you? Mike Tyson's not that old.
yeah, mate, that was rude from me. But still, the point stands that, like, in my opinion, I think the perfect fight should be the Tommy Fury fight, regardless of the money, regardless
Mm,
of this person gets paid this much, he gets paid whatever. Jake's got to get his O back. He's got to try and get that redemption. And
mm,
Tommy so far is the only person to have beaten Jake Paul. And Tommy's not even world class level. I don't even know if he's British level or
I,
English level.
I
It
wouldn't.
probably
I wouldn't.
not.
I wouldn't even say Southern area level.
Exactly. So it all depends on if Jake's just wanting the big fights
Mm,
and the credibility for fighting big names, cool. Just go down that route, but don't try and sell the whole narrative that you're trying to be a world champion because I think the people who are involved in boxing can just see straight through that.
like just the things he comes out with, just it comes off so annoying, like a little leech. Like them leeches who suck blood. Like he's like a vampire sized one that's just literally biting your arm. He wants. He's just. I think he's just designed to piss you off. Like lich. That's my opinion anyway, because I can't stand him as a fighter or as a person. I don't care. It's disrespectful to say that you believe that you can stand in a ring toe to toe with Canelo Alvarez. You next year want to fight two-time heavyweight champion of the world, Anthony Joshua. Like it's all just for views. It's all just for clickbait. And I hate the fact that it works.
The thing is, he can market it really well, and he always gets you with the potential of him losing. And do you know what is even really funny and kind of embarrassing to say out loud now? But going into that Mike Tyson fight, part of my brain was telling me that Mike Tyson is going to roll back the years and he's
Mm,
going to knock out Jake Paul.
same.
And then you look at it after and you're like, why did I even believe? And why did part of my brain actually believe that was going to happen? But I think it's all down to the marketing. It's all down to the narrative that Jake Paul and his team and everyone around him portrays going into these fights.
I believe he will get the job done. I believe he'll get him out there by round 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Honestly, like you could tell that I'm just not interested in talking this one because it's come up. More my energy has zapped, fam. I am down. But yeah, I do believe Jake will get the job done. He'll get another win. He'll get another stoppage, and everyone will continue to hate him. So everything is all right in the world.
That is so true.
Obviously, guys, thank you so much for the support again. Me and Dan cannot tell you how much it means to us, honestly. Thank you for joining in for this episode as well. If you're new around here, like, comment, subscribe, share. We want to get this channel as big as we can. We want to start doing interviews. We want to start doing face to faces. We want to do um, reactions. We want to do vlogs. We want to make this the biggest and best boxing fan community channel that there has ever been. And we only need you to help with that. So get down, share it around. Let's have some fucking fun with this, yeah? But yeah, the only news coming for this weekend, we all know what it is. The revived rivalry that has transformed Britain and this new generation into what it is today. The biggest rivalry, the biggest names, the biggest family history. Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr., the rivalry reignited and reborn. Watch it live on the Zone, pay-per-view this weekend, starting at 5 p.m. Do not miss it.
Wow, that gave me goosebumps, Jody. What a little speech to end it.
I've got to give a little speech at the end. I always do that.